Welcome to the Career Refresh Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Griffin. I'm a former media and marketing executive turned career strategist and executive coach. I spent my career working my way up and through the ranks of global organizations and startups, and today I show others how to do the same. Join me each week as we discuss the strategies and actionable steps to leverage your strengths, increase your confidence, and develop your career well-being. Ready? Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to the Career Refresh Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Griffin. All right, I want to talk about the good enough job. Sometimes we call it the in-between job. It's also referred to as the sober job. They all mean slightly different things, but there is a thread that implies that you are still on the journey rather than at the destination. And I want to go a little deeper on that today because we've spent years trying to figure out how to fit our lives into our jobs because they don't always match up. And we've spun ourselves around trying to figure this out. And I don't really know many people that are, working their dream job and have got everything all figured out. I also find that a lot of people think that our purpose comes from our work. I mean, it can, but it often doesn't. Most likely, our purpose is about who we are, not what we do. And for some people, a good enough job is about finding interesting work or challenging work with less pressure, decent security, good benefits, decent pay, but it's about how to maintain your mental health, your well-being, all while good enough is okay. It's a phase in your career. It may not be forever, or it may be forever for you. But for decades, we've been told to find this dream job. And look, I'm an executive coach. I'm a career strategist. I believe in building a strategy, finding fulfilling work, doing meaningful work, making a difference, using your skills, finding your strengths, leveraging them regularly. I believe in all of that. But I also think we've fallen into some level of delusional thinking to think that it's always going to be that. And if we could figure that out, then everything would be okay. Everything's better. I just have to find that job. And I just don't believe it. There's always going to be something that's not perfect. That's life, right? A little bit of good, a little not so good. And when I work with a new client, I often hear them say things like, I want to figure out what I need to be doing because I got to figure out this next job. I got to figure out how to use my skills and my strengths, and I got to find the job. And I want to find my passions, and, I want to make sure that the next job I take, I have to be at it for a while. I have to stay there for a while. And I understand the desire for all of those things. I understand the desire to want to park yourself on a team, to build something, whether it's a product, a platform, professional relationships, friendships, networking. I understand all of that. But sometimes you come to a time in your life where a good enough job is good enough. And I still don't believe you're always going to find the perfect job or the dream job, but you may also go beyond the good enough job, and it may be, a real career building, a career trajectory type job. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you may want to consider a good enough job when you want to pursue a side hustle, but the good enough job is going to pay your bills and not tax your brain and body so much that there's no creativity on nights and weekends for you to build that side hustle. A good enough job may be when you want to be present for an aging parent or your growing children, so you can leave on time and have the energy for those you love and live with. You may get a good enough job when you're post-maternity or paternity leave, and you want to make sure that you can pick your child up on time from daycare, work flexible hours, be available if your child is sick, and not have all the stress and pressure of what's going on at work impact your day. A good enough job may be when you make decent money, and maybe a little bit bored, but You're able to save for your kids' college fund or your retirement or that big, wedding you're planning or whatever you want to do with your money. You're a little bored, but you're making some decent cash and it works. It's good enough. A good enough job may be that the pay is the opposite. Maybe it's kind of on the low side, but they are giving you skills, exposure, development, and training, and the payoff is huge. But it's good enough right now. You might get a good enough job when you are getting close to retirement and you want to keep your brain sharp and busy and your bank account full. You may consider a good enough job when you've come off a long stretch of intense work that led to burnout and you're working on your physical and mental health now and you don't want to re-enter the workforce the way you used to work. Good enough job can allow for a flexible schedule so you can go to grad school at night and not be taxed all the time. A good enough job may be working for your dream company, but in a different role, a role that gets you in the door. And then after a certain period of time, you're going to push for a promotion or a rotation. A good enough job is perfect for when you want to downshift, down level after being sick or in recovery. And borrowing on that recovery theme, the 12-step community has a concept of a sober job, which is a job that will help you get your financial means, your needs met, but it's not so taxing and draining that you cannot maintain your sobriety or get to your meetings and maintain your recovery. That's a good enough job, but they call it a sober job. And if you're currently unemployed, and you find an okay-ish opportunity and you want to get back into the marketplace, you may want to dig deeper and do some discernment or work with a mentor or coach to figure out if that's the right job for you right now. At times, I often advise clients that in between jobs, which may be about freelancing or contracting or consulting, might be the good enough job now. It's the in-between job. Why? Keeps your brain fresh, keeps you out there in the marketplace, keeps you networking and making contacts and making new relationships and getting new skills. It might be the right thing for you to do the in-between job. I want you to put your best foot forward. I want you to be inspired. I want you to leverage your strengths, and I want you to develop a career strategy, get the benefits, maintain your mental health, and make some bank. I want you to have all of that. But there are times in our lives where taking a 6 or a 12-month period and saying, you know what, right now, good enough is still good, and that's what we're going to do right now, that might be the right thing for you. So I want you to ask yourself, how do you want your day to look? How do you want to feel most days that begin and end with work? What do you really value? I had a conversation recently with someone who was saying that the classic phrasing of the job description works well in a high-paced or a fast-paced environment, that was really triggering for them. And they were realizing that right now, no, I actually don't want that. And that's amazing to know what you don't want as much as what you do want. A good enough job might bring you some of those things. So friends, give it some thought. Where are you in your career? Where are you in your job search? If that's what you're doing, I want to hear from you. Have you considered a good enough job? Email me at hello@jillgriffincoaching.com. As always, I love hearing from you. So keep your emails coming. It's so fun hearing from listeners. And listen, friends, have a great week. Give this some thought, and I will see you next time. Hey, thanks for listening to the Career Refresh Podcast. If you're enjoying this and you want more information, go to my website, jillgriffincoaching.com. There you can find information on how to work with me one-on-one or my group programs, or even bring me into your workplace. I'll put the link to my website in the show notes. But hey, listen, before you go, do me a favor, rate and review this podcast, because it definitely helps me get the word out to people everywhere so that they can also thrive in the workplace. All right, friends, I appreciate you. I'll see you soon.